Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we'll be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 3, text 16. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayah aghayur indriyaramo mogham pardha sajivati. So Krishna says, Evam pravartitam chakram. Chakram means what? A cycle. Chakram. So Krishna mentioned these topics which form a cycle. So we will see how that cycle is formed. So he says in this way, Evam pravartitam chakram. Pravartitam means established by the Vedas. This chakram is, the cycle has been established by the Vedas and one has to follow it. But if one does not, na anuvartayati, he does not follow anybody, yaha, iha, in this life, na anuvartayati, this chakram, he is living a very aghayur indriyaramo. He is living a aghayuhu. Ayuhu means life. Aghayu means, agha means sin. He is leading a sinful life, aghayuhu. And he is living a life of indriya aramaha. Indriya arama means life of sense gratification. It's very dangerous. And mogham pardha sajivati. That person is living uselessly. Mogham means useless. So in other words, Krishna is saying, Prabhupada writes the translation, my dear Arjuna, a man who does not follow this prescribed Vedic system of sacrifice certainly leads a life of sin. For a person delighting only in the senses lives in vain. So now let's understand what is this cycle. So if you see, in the previous verse, Krishna mentioned that or in the previous few verses, Krishna mentioned, Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad annasambhavaha. And even before that, he mentioned, Yagna shishtasinah santo muchyante sarva kilbishaihi. So there is Yagna and there is Yagna Sishta, which is the food grains offered in sacrifice. So there is Yagna, then there is Yagna Sishta. And then, or the food grains, Annad bhavanti bhutani. The next verse said, this food grains, Anna bhavanti bhutani. The food, the living entities subsist on the food grains. And how these food grains come from? They come from rain. So rain comes from parjanyad annasambhavaha. Yagnat bhavati parjanyo. Yagna produces rain. And then Yagna, where is it mentioned? Yagnaha karma samudbhavaha. From our prescribed duties, Yagna comes. And where is prescribed duties mentioned? They are mentioned in the Vedic literature. So you see, there is the cycle. So living entities, they offer the food grains in Yagna, and then the food grains subsist on the living entities subsist on the food grains and offer that to Yagna. Yagna is prescribed in the Vedic literature. So in this way, there is dependency on everything. So the dependency on how we perform Yagna, which produces rain produces grains, we eat the grains, again we perform Yagna. So in this way, the cycle goes on. So if you break the cycle, if anybody does not perform Yagna, they are not contributing to the whole ecosystem. Everybody has to contribute to the ecosystem, isn't it? If they don't, they are like stealing. Then that person is a aghayuhu. He is leading a sinful life. And that's what Prabhupada says in the purport, The Mammonist philosophy of work very hard and enjoy sense gratification is condemned herein by the Lord. This Mammonist philosophy means you work nicely hard. Why? To enjoy sense gratification. Is condemned herein by the Lord. Therefore, for those who want to enjoy this material world, the above mentioned cycle of performing yagnas is absolutely necessary. One who does not follow such regulations is living a very risky life, being condemned more and more. So he's leading a very risky life if one does not perform this cycle of yagna. So Prabhupada, one time he said, we are trying to educate people nicely that they are leading a risky life and they have to pay for their sinful reactions and probably even have to go to hell. So I was remembering one time when we went to Harinam Sankirtana on the streets in downtown. So when we arrived there, there was already one person, he had another friend sitting a little away. So he was holding a placard. So he said, worship Jesus, else go to hell. And he was very forcefully telling everybody, he would encounter everybody. You will go to hell if you don't worship Jesus, and Jesus is the only way, like that. And on the side, we are also doing the same, but our methodology is completely different. We are singing and chanting and happily dancing, and we're passing out these pamphlets, cards, and books. Of course, the intent is the same, to educate people that they are leading a very risky life, but the methodology is different. This is the methodology given by our disciplic succession. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that even though there are people, sinful people, we are submitting to them very submissively. Like Prabodhananda Saraswati, he says this method of educating people in this very sane, simple way is taught by Prabodhananda Saraswati. He said, Dante nidhaya trinakam padayor nipatya kakushyatam krutva cha aham bravimi. So what it means, Dante nidhaya trinakam means, so according to Vedic civilization, if one wants to be very humble and approach somebody, they will take a blade of grass, trina, dante, in between the teeth. That means this grass is a symbol of humility, because everybody tramples on the grass and the grass is very low on the feet of everybody. So when you take a grass within your mouth and approach somebody, that means you are approaching in all humility. So he says, so you should take the Dante Nidhaya Tranakam piece of grass and approach somebody. Padayor Nipatya, falling down on their feet. Kaku Shatam Krutva Aham Bravimi. And we flatter them. Oh, sir, you're so great man. You're so intelligent man. Although he is a fool number one, we flatter them. Oh, there is no greater man like you. You're so intelligent. You're so rich. You're so beautiful. Just like, the beggars. Sometimes, oh, you're a great person. You become king. And one thinks, oh, he's blessing me. Let me give one paisa or something like that. So this flattering is also required when something nice has to be told. So then when they become little eager, okay, so why are you so humble? Why are you praising me? What is your intention? Tell me. And then you tell, hey sadhavaha, okay, you are a great sadhu. Sakalameva vihaya durat You have learned so many nice things, but kick them out, please. Sakalameva, whatever nonsense you have learned, whatever rascaldom you have learned, please kick them out. This is my request. And then do what? Chaitanya Chandra Charane Kurutanuragam. Just hear what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. This is my request. So what does he say? He says, just hear about Krishna, chant about Krishna, make your life successful. That's all Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. It's very simple. Give up your nonsensical activities and take to Krishna consciousness and teach others about Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, you are leading a very risky life. This human form of life is meant for self-realization. Labdhva sudurlabham idam bahusambhavante. Manushyam ardhatam apiha dhiraha. Is meant to ardhadam. Ardhadam means make it meaningful. So we have to perform these yagna performances. So Prabhupada mentions that one who has already become perfect, they don't need to perform these yagnas because they are already on that perfect platform. But those who are engaged in sense gratification require purification by this cycle of yagna performances. So they need to perform yagna. So the prosperity of the world depends not on our efforts but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. So, very important statement. The prosperity of the world depends not on our efforts but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. So we think, oh, economic development, so the whole world is moving on the economic development, fully prosperous. There are many prosperous countries leading the way. Why are you saying the prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts but the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord? See, the material advancement of scientific knowledge cannot give even material prosperity to the people in general. Like Prabhupada once said, so you say you now you have, earlier people used to drive on horse carriages. Now you have horseless carriage in terms of cars. That's why the engine is called horsepower. Like, you're replacing the horsepower. So, and then you have telephones, mobile phones. Of course, those days they don't have mobile phones, radio communication, or any such ephemeral facilities of life can bring in material prosperity? No, it cannot. Material prosperity means people must have sufficient to eat or to maintain the body very soundly. Do you think that your different plans have brought that material prosperity? Even if they are people, they are given so many things, but still they are hankering for more. They're not happy, isn't it? I remember in my college days, we were in a hostel, and they would, obviously hostel food is not that great food. So people would be like hankering for a special festival day when they would serve a feast. And they would serve like a dozen items. And people would all, as soon as the time comes, 12 o'clock, people would all run to the mess where they serve the food. And they would sit on these tables. And the servers would come and serve one after the other, the paratha, the sabji, the rice, and the special palav, and all these things. And so as soon as they serve, the next server is coming to serve the next item. The next server is coming to serve the next item. So what we would do, we would take that item Hey, bring me, bring me, bring me. And instead of focusing on eating that, we would be focusing on when is the next server coming. Oh, he skipping our table. Oh, he skipped me. Oh, let me go call him. Oh, you forgot about this. And instead of focusing on eating and relishing what is served on my plate, I'm focusing on what is going to come. Oh my God, it's going to get over. So, what I observed was the regular days, whatever is served, limited food, you should be happy focusing on eating in abundance. But on the special occasion where there is so many things are given, you're not actually enjoying. Your focus is more on how to accumulate and anxious about enjoyment than actually enjoying. So the same problem is happening in this world. One, there are people who don't have anything, or there are people who have so much that they don't know how to enjoy with peace. They have so much of anxiety. You have so many channels. Earlier, there was one channel, Doordarshan, and you, whatever comes, you just sit and enjoy the Rama and Mahabharat and whatever the movie that they would play on Sundays. But now there are 100 channels, 100 OTT platforms, and one thing is playing, and your mind is always disturbing. Oh, there is something else being played somewhere else. Let me watch that. There are so many varieties of food available, which is actually spoiling your eating habits, irregulated eating habits, and all unwanted things. So there is so much of investment options. Somebody will come and say, hey, why did you invest here? You should have invested there. Why did you buy this? You should have bought that. So economic development is not necessarily an indication of material prosperity. There is so much of depression nowadays. Yesterday, I saw one news that there was this man, a social media influencer, very famous man in Argentina. He is 31 years old and he posts all kinds of uh, things on the social media, very famous. And he posted something that he went some nice place in Argentina. He posted all the beautiful things. And the next 1 hour, the moment he posted, within 1 hour, there was a news that he jumped and he committed suicide from that big hotel and died. That means, as much as we may think, oh, these people, these celebrities, these people on social media, they're all enjoying, oh, they're leading a life. See how they're going and traveling on the planes and going to these expensive hotels and eating wonderful things on restaurants. But actually, internally, what's happening? Internally, they are suffering. Internally, they are not finding that happiness. This, as Prabhupada says, this mammonist philosophy of work hard and enjoy is not the right philosophy. It's just like the bird is there and the cage is there, and you're trying to shine the cage and paint the cage and dust it off, but the bird inside is neglected. So our soul is neglected. The external material side of us is being fed. The body is decorated, the body is being fed. But what about the soul? So the see the how the youngsters nowadays, earlier the youngsters used to be so happy, nothing, they didn't bother about anything. Only when they would get married and they have responsibilities, that's when the problems start. But now see youngsters, even from childhood, before they even get to the 10 plus 2, and when they become teenagers, there's so much of pressure, either forced pressure by the society or the parents, or the peer pressure. Oh, I have to meet their expectations, I have to behave like that, I have to dress like this, I have to act as if I possess this. There is so much of things that are going wrong in the society for lack of this right understanding of principles of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna consciousness. So this Mammonist philosophy or working hard just to enjoy, this doesn't work. We have to make people understand the importance of Krishna consciousness, showing gratitude to God, cultivating. Right now, I am in an enjoying, exploiting tendency. Life is not about exploitation, life is about giving back to God, serving God. So, Prabhupada says the yagnas are especially important if one has that sense gratification tendency to purify us from that sense gratification tendency. And then he says, therefore, the yagnas are directly aimed at the particular demigod mentioned in the Vedas. Indirectly, it is the practice of Krishna consciousness. So, in those days, the yagnas were meant for, you know, for rain god, for sun god, that, this, and all. But the idea was indirectly it is practice of Krishna consciousness because when one masters the performance of yagnas, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. That was the idea. But in this age, even that won't work. Directly one has to come to Krishna consciousness. Because the idea is by performing yagna, gradually you're becoming purified and coming to the point of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada says, but if by performing yagnas one does not become Krishna conscious, such principles are counted as only moral codes. So one should not therefore limit his progress only to the point of moral codes, but should transcend them to attain Krishna consciousness. So the idea behind yagna is ultimately it pushes us to become Krishna conscious, to give up our sense gratification tendency and to come to the point of attraction of Krishna, serving Krishna, where we become sublime and happy. Otherwise, if you are not coming to the point of Krishna consciousness, it is Shrama eva hi kevalam. Shrama eva hi kevalam. Like Prabhupada one time he said, somebody may be a Hindu, somebody may be a Christian or Muslim or a Jewish or whoever it is, Buddhist. They're going to church or temple or mosque or whatever. But when you ask them whether you love God or dog, he will say, I love dog. Practically, we see everybody is keeping a dog, favorite pet. And they are going to, externally, they are following something, externally, posing as if they are somebody. But practically, what is happening? They're loving the dogs or cats. They do everything for taking care of the dog. So, one person we know, he had not been coming to temple for some time. And when we found out that he is at home taking care of his blind dog, the dog has become blind and he is stuck now at home taking care of the blind dog. So, like that, unfortunate. So, we get into all these entanglements. So, in the name of religion, externally you may follow something, but if it is not resulting in love of God, it is Shrama eva hi kevalam. Prabhupada gave this example, just like a vulture. You know, this vulture, he goes very high, isn't it? The vulture goes very, very high, 4 miles high, 5 miles high. But his business is to find out where there is a dead body. Very elevated, but the business is to find out a dead body. And as soon as he finds it, he comes down. So our officially performing some religious ceremonies, rituals, but if our business is where is the corpse or the dead body, Oh, come on, here is some sense gratification. That is going on. So, any process which is not Krishna consciousness process cannot give us attraction to God. We'll remain on the material platform. So, Bhagavatam says, give up all these kinds of cheating religion which does not elevate us to love of Krishna. Take to Bhagavad Dharma. Dharmaha projhita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. This Bhagavatam drives away all kinds of cheating religions. So directly take to Krishna consciousness. Then your Shrama will have use. Otherwise, Shrama eva hi kevalam. So Acharyas are giving us Bhagavad Gita as it is. Take to it. Don't become deceived by so-called religion, so-called bogus guru. Take to bona fide disciplic succession. If you follow this path, you will see the progress. You chant nicely, you hear nicely, you will see your attraction to Krishna is coming. Your eagerness to hear about Krishna is coming. If you become eager to hear about Krishna, eager to chant about Krishna, eager to read about Krishna, eager to progress in Krishna consciousness, that means you are awakening your attraction for Krishna. You should introspect whether my path is actually bringing me to Krishna or I'm not improving anything. So I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments, feel free to unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So performing Yajna in Kali
So
Yuga
today is the
means
first day of Kartik Mass, Kartik month. So it's a beautiful occasion where you can take any vow. Kartik Vrata we say. Vrata means vow. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Dhrudavrataha. One should have Dhrudavrata in life. So for this 1 month, usually devotees take some vrata, some vow. You take a positive vow, like I want to chant one extra round, or I want to learn one chapter of Bhagavad Gita, or I want to recite one chapter of Bhagavad Gita, like that. So I personally I'm planning to recite one new chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Usually I recite one chapter of Bhagavad Gita, but a different chapter I'm planning to recite this month. So like that, you take one vow. Whatever you make progress, it's to your credit. So it's a positive vow. Please do take some vow. It can be as simple, but do take something. It can improve your spiritual life. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
There was one question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Prabhu dropped off.
Okay, Prabhu. So my question is performing Yajna in this Kali Yuga means the chanting Hare Krishna and practicing Krishna consciousness, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you.